afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to another exciting Propagandacast with me, your host, ImperialDane, Master of Propaganda, Hero of the Reich, Defender of the Fatherland. We are here to an exciting 1 vs 1 on angle here between Hector fighting for the Soviet Union for the glory of Comrade Stalin and the 215th Rifle Corps with Tank Hunter Tactic Shock Rifle and Gun Motor versus ImperialDane fighting here for Germany, for the Reich, for the 2nd SS Panzer Division Das Reich with encirclement, elite troops and mobile defense. Bulletins are a bit of machine guns empty for them with panzer troops and infantry here for me. We got a dual pioneers out here, by the way, thus opting to grab more territory, also spreading out, thus that way gaining a bit more territory, but at the same time also be a bit hard to sort of just initially displace in case of any sort of unexpected developments. He on the other hand is going for a single engineer with conscripts following up there. He's also spreading out. Grenadiers following up, they'll be going for a mix of MGs and Grenadiers, sort of for the opening, then move for tier 2, and then the overall plan is go for Stooks, and then depending on what my opponent's doing, this for example, he goes for Tank Hunter and lots of PTRSs, I'm thinking about going further on then for Sturm Panzers, or try and blast them into tiny bits. If we're seeing Shock Rifle or Guard Motor, I mean it could either be going for Panzer Forces, Ostwinds to sort of augment things, or maybe go for a Panther. And depending on that, of course, my doctoral choices will also be somewhat different. Of course, for Hector, I mean, you know, if he goes for this, I mean, it'll probably involve a lot of conscripts. There might be a few tanks sort of in the mix. If there's this, a few tanks might be, of course, good, but they're probably more shock troopers, not so much infantry. And with Guard Motor, I mean, we'll probably see Guards Rifle from him. Most of that could certainly also be one of the more tricky ones. But again, if he, in both cases, they play sort of for late doctrine, they might still give me some options. Anyways, we'll see what happens here. Pushing ahead here, going for the fuel there. Pushing more of the fuel on the left side as well. We've got Grenadiers in support. We got empty following up. Conscripts routing here. Quickly, Dimitri. We must crush the fascist foe. We got constant engineers engaging, using their most Naganti. I'm pulling back. Trying to make sure I get a bit less easy hit. And there you go, conscripts moving up. Trying to get close here. Moving over the pioneers, sort of assist and sort of gun down the conscripts. Getting the upper hand. And you might got pioneers being under fire from the conscripts as well. MD42 moving in. Comes there taking losses. Grenadiers, pioneers are suffering a bit here and there, but there we go. The conscripts now beginning to sort of heavily bleed out. Dropping dead around the bushes. Or maybe a bit on some thorns, who knows. MGs are left behind. Pioneers quickly falling back. He still managed to gain one fuel point. The other one's been denied here to Hector. Got more guys falling up with the MD42, so a bit careful here, just in case he tries to pull something around here. I want to be sure I don't leave my MD42 up to flank, but in the end I decide against it. Realising he's probably got a few units over here, don't have to explain anything right away. We also got some quick sandbags over here. Nice position, by the way, ensures if I sort of try to use it, I won't get much from it compared to him, so nice play there. Same here overall. Nice drop there, nice drop there. Got to securing the fuel. And we've got Single got there ready for the Reich. Troops reinforcing, getting ready. And we've got Molotovs here on the way for Hector. 4 conscripts so far. Pioneers moving out. And MD42 more would be good. And could consider a Flammenwerfer here to help deal with the infantry right off the bat. Scorched them a bit and even though somewhat singed. Engineers holding up there. Constantly, and there goes 2nd MD42 arriving, thus gaining a mix of 2 pioneers, 2 grenadiers, 2 MD42s, reasonably fluid force, but with some punch and also an ability to sort of wear down any Soviet assault initially. Engineers are not having best of luck. He's moving here to sort of try and relieve them, sort of trying to ensure they can retreat safely. We got pioneers moving up there. Pioneers here, grenadiers, MD42 setting up as well. And there he goes, setting up there. 2nd MD42 arrives, and Council says suppressed, more going with the Grenadiers, pioneers setting up here on the retreat path. So if he decides to retreat, I could probably try and do some terrible things with them. Council moving ahead there, either squad running, going to the trying to flank the MD42 here, while the other one's actually right ahead of the squad. Pinned down by the way, pioneers moving up here. Might try and get some damage off the Council, but they do retreat, burning away, there we go. Almost wiped out there, almost. At the same time, also not going off there, in fact. Took the bait there from his side. There go more conscripts suffering horribly. But again, looks like he will not suffer a squad wipe. At the same time, continue pressure up here, going to take away the territory. Hat sort of managed to slightly gather there, taking up going on. MD42 setting up to cover here. Of course, it does leave in the open to sort of being harassed through here. Which of course is something I'm quite aware of, having played quite a bit on Angerville and Company was one as well. And I certainly know how most Allied players play, Angleville. They're going then before getting ready. Try to set up here. Of course, a bit too late here setting up properly. So, of course, he's already got a unit moving up. I'll then before moving down here, so trying to assist. Getting Molotov there first. You can get first suppresses them there. M3A1 on the way, by the way, so he goes for a special at Eiffel Command here, Mr. Hector. So he's going to have to rush back full up here. Going for the cut-off point there, nicely done. By the way, all my force, of course, are here. So they're going to take some time to rush up here, which of course will give him more openings. So, of course, I'm going to do some damage down south. Again, Sam Max here. Good job, good job. Taking down there, then before 2 reinforcing. Pioneers moving in to assist. M4 just going to move down as well. Grenadiers arriving. At the same time, we got troops attacking here, keeping my troops occupied, so I can't rush as much here to sort of take back the cut-off point. Nice little diversion there. Comes to their force away, pioneers have to rush down here to then deal with the conscripts there. Got more moving up here. Quick Molotov off, pioneers doing where can they go. Yuri bursts into flame. Passing straight into the Flammen there. MD42 needs to move down. In fact, both of them need to move down here to sort of assist. Another Molotov there. Overall, we'll be seeing here that Hector's already gaining a nice map control versus me gaining most of the map. You got the M3A1 here charging forwards, flame front hand there. Definitely nasty little combo, can be used to sort of hunt down my forces, but there you go. In this case, he pushes a bit too closely, gets Panzerfaust, leaving it heavily damaged. MD42 sitting up there, more moving down. Troops need to reinforcing it back in the fight, but at the same time going for here, cutting off victory points and resource points. Pioneers forced away as well. I've yet to get the like to make a nice company up. Been too preoccupied with what's going on in the front line. There going in another push of the cut point. MD40 opening up, Kant's getting suppressed. There's moving up there, and Panzerfaust getting the M3A1 again, ensuring it's wiped out. Another Molotov against the MD42. And again managed to sort of cut me off. There we go, conscripts rushed off the field. Like to make a nice company finally going up here from Hector. We're not seeing too much else. We got a field in the front going up there. He's still retaining. No, well, he's actually getting another conscript support here, adding in more infantry, and at the same time, to see that he goes for Tank Hunter and goes for the PTRS. At the same time, though, of course, I realise, you know what's great on Angleville? Encirclement's great on Angleville, because it's a fort before popping the stormtroopers here, going for the building here, and go for his cut-off point that way, denying him resources a bit, except there's apparently now, where the previous boss acted a slight connection here. Fun fact there, slight little change. I only realised that now I'm casting it, by the way. But on the old Angleville, this definitely would have cut them off, but oh well. Still, applies a bit of pressure, and they got the conscript up there with the PTS straight to the stormtroopers. These SS Elite Panzergrenadier veterans of early engagements of Barbarossa even. Meanwhile, continue to assault up here. The major push going on there, in fact, and they've got the same thing we can do, cut off here. Of course, I will cut them off at least here for a bit. And following up with a half track here, basically deciding I want to reinforce my troops here, making it hard for them to push me off more permanently. Plus, I can also use it to transport around troops and that way gain a local advantage versus his assaults. Maybe have a better chance of wiping unit here and there. At least that is the thought. Engineers are getting stopped rather brutally by the MD42 and the Grenadier, though both are holding on for dear life. Only a sliver of health left here. Pioneers doing what they can, there's a contract and Molotov going off. Grenadiers need to move in to support.
Half-track has arrived.
And there we go, 251 half-track on the way there. Mittelschützen, Panzerwagen and conscripts did go wiped out there. Pioneers lit them on fire like some rather expensive fireworks. So now we are seeing a few casualties now for Hector. Slaughtered a few men there. Half-track up there to reinforce, Grenadiers being forced away. Pioneers also reinforcing, almost veteran tick 2. More regional enforcement going on there. And there we go, both MD42s combat ready, keeping this one here. Basically, of course, if he goes to the cop one again, and cuts me off, I'm going to be in a bit of trouble. And there we go, he actually is going to rush it. But there we go, moving up the half track here, gets a bit in the way for him, but also at the same time pops up the Pioneers. In this case, all of a sudden have a notable, well, firearm superiority here in the locale. All of a sudden, basically ensuring I can wipe it out, getting conscripts and a PTRS at the same time. Conscripts here getting stopped by the MD42 there. Assault there, not really working out for Hector. The men pinned down, screaming for help. Comrade Stalin nowhere near in sight to help them out of it. And of course, immediately upon the pioneers in again, and rushing down here trying to get behind the conscripts, attack them from there, of course cut them off. In this case, though, it doesn't quite work. With pioneers and stormtroopers ready to advance again. At the same time, though, he's taking up here nicely, tank of tank command going up, taking the advantage guard sort of territorially, and of course cutting me off a lot, sort of rush for armor, and in fact, I'm a bit unprepared for that. And then again, he's moving ahead to conscripts, and once more, I take the chance here to rush in with a half-track, and the pioneers realizing basically he can't damage it enough, in particular not with the half-track MD-42 and the pioneers all at once, so very much he risks losing a lot there if he's not careful. So there going again, thanks to the proximity of the half-track, I don't have to retreat the MD-42 either. I mean, it allows me to be a bit more confident, a bit more assertive on the battlefield, and that really is something you really need as the Wehrmacht early game to sort of be a bit harder to push off and overall maintain your map control much more steadily. Meanwhile, a bit of counter harassment on the right side, trying to drive forces from the left, which is where I'm primarily focusing again. Pioneers into the half-track again, sort of mobile combat group. Capable of a few things. There you go, conscripts under fire, MD-42 once more setting up to try and deal with that threat. And taking up already again, heading here for tier 3. Engineers moving ahead. And goes stormtroopers, conscripts, half-track there, MD-42 tanking into them. Bit of PTRS fire there, there's the half-track down to half-health, but the pioneers move forwards there and burn away. Also got a PTRS themselves, by the way, and there you go, almost wiping another unit here for Hector. Hector now beginning to notably suffer higher losses, thanks to the presence of the half-track, but even the pioneers, of course, a little tactic there, allowing me a lot more punch, a lot more quickly. It also means, for example, can't really sort of predict how quickly I can reinforce any position under attack. And again, in that regard, the half-track serves a vital point. And grow. And not just reinforcement, which of course is what some players exclusively use it for, but actually, you know, moving troops back and forth, and allowing it to that way quickly gain again local superiority. But take up there, done. Grenadiers moving up, trying to do counter-attack here again. More sandbags. He's really keeping a good job with that. Mine's going down there. He's finally getting a T-34-76 on the way. Stormtroopers getting a PTS. I'm also grabbing another Panzer, realizing, you know, I'm probably going to see some tanks soon here. And that way, the Stormtroopers, of course, also have a nice way of sort of just quickly, just in case, getting some anti-tank weapons. And there we go. One hell of a Panzer shot there. Wipes out half the unit. Half-track rushing forwards here. Engineers wiped out, in fact, by the Grenadiers. I didn't even realise that had happened. And there you go, conscripts rushed off. Panzer Grenadier again being reinforced once more. The half-track serves a wonderful job. Except I'm now moving them too far away to be reinforced. There you go with the T-34-76 up here. Hector now possesses a lot more punch versus the fascists. Conscripts here also not doing too well. Smaller victorious engagement there. There you go. Stormtroopers pulling back towards that half-track as they probably should. At the same time, we got a support armor corps going up here for the Reich, for Deutschland. Because they stop with the MD-42 now, veteran Caesar planes are fast, got incendiary rounds there. And they're going off some shots in the rear of the T-34. Panzer PTS fire, but there you go, half-track kaput. Conscripts here, they're suffering to the pioneers, the Flammenwerfer and the PTRS, they pilfered. Definitely making short work of them there. And the T-34 actually being forced away here, despite only having a few sort of options there for dealing with it. So managed to hold the line for now. Support armor corps is ready, going to have to rush a Stug out, so they have at least something to help deal with the armor, but also infantry. Though of course with the loss of the half-track, things are going to be a bit tricky here at the front line. And poor Jürgen heroically and accidentally sacrificed himself for the entire unit. Please get me a medic! Nein, Jürgen, you're a hero. Heroes don't need medics. They need a coffin. Sorry. Still keeping up there with the PTRS, as though he's handed over now 2 of them to me. Bit of barbed wire there to deny him cover for the half-track, and again, another assault here. He seems convinced that I'd actually try and move that MD-42 away from here, which is always a pretty good spot for an assault, which of course is what I want to prevent it from being. Pack 40 on the way though, and a Sturmgeschütz Ausführung G, the last model of the Sturmgeschütz, though technically there were later and further variants on the Sturmgeschütz Ausführung G, so even an early Model G versus the late Model G is going to be notably different in some regards. An additional, for example, coaxial machine gun, remote control machine gun on the top, and other sort of small changes. Fun facts there.
are securing our territory.
T-34 aiming repaired.
Squad, shut it. We are receiving new orders. Grenadiers.
Also, a fun fact about SS troops, in particular in the early stages of the war, they had absolutely no qualms about pilfering Soviet weapons to increase their own firepower. PTRSs, DPs, SVT-40s, they nabbed it all to increase their own firepower. The Sturmgeschütz engaging, opening up here in the cover. The Grenadiers not doing so well. The tree, not much of a formidable foe there versus the PTRS and the other rifles there. Stuke doing what it can though to shade the cover here. We've got more conscripts moving up and gaining the territory, in fact gaining the entire west half of the map. A few telemines here to sort of try and deal with the tank in case it rushes forwards. Need to get that Stuke out of there before it's somehow disabled and he rushes with the T-34. In fact, we've got the T-34 really moving up there. And in this case, they're saved by the base machine gun bunker. Keeping the troops here, just in case he tries to rush forwards here again. They should be able to slow down any T-34 allowing the Pack 40 to react as well. There you go, another conscript moving in there. He's definitely keen here on the cut-off point, but again at this point he should realise I'm keeping it under watch. Sturmgeschütz moving in. Grenadiers also arriving. And Pioneers moving up from the other side. We've got the T-34 ready to react. There we go. Conscripts pushed off. We got another push in here. More conscripts arriving. He's going in here aggressively. MD-42 returning fire. And the Grenadiers as well. And definite heavy losses there being inflicted on the conscripts. The key one, we got the T-34 moving in. Looks like he's rushing straight into the Sturmgeschütz. Rushing in there with conscripts moving in. Anti-tank grenade. MD-42 can't hit them. Conscripts there wiped out by the looks of it. It looks like it's already getting replaced with ones. T-34 versus Sturmgeschütz. Sturmgeschütz got a penetrating hit there. Pack 40 turning about though. Getting another hit there. T-34 almost knocked out. Comes in heavy trouble. All those machine guns definitely not good for the health. And there you go at the same time Sturmgeschütz kaput. Decent attempt there at the flank, but sadly I was able to react too quickly with all of my assets, wrecking it rapidly. He's also gone for support bomb company here. That's actually a good idea. Field gun would certainly help sort of hard counter my Sturmgeschütz to a certain degree. And there you go, in fact he's getting one. A mortar I think would also be pretty good then, sort of obscuring the line of fire of my MD-42s. I mean, the smoke screen here would force me to attack the MD-42, which would allow him to push through here and push back my line. So that would be a pretty good move for him there. But at the same time, Minesweeper was up. Now it's time for me to go on the offensive. I just dealt him a harsh blow. I've knocked out a T-34. Wiped out a conscript court. This, I rather sense, is a time to go on to the offensive. Going here for the cut point. And a note, I'm seeing the Pioneers ahead first here with a Minesweeper and a PTRS before sitting in the infantry, also securing territory up north. But he's striking through the south and getting additional stormtroopers here. Should have put the counter-attack here and add some infantry. Second Sturmgeschütz arriving.
The Sturmgeschütz is ready for use.
Cover there being, well, barbed wire more specifically being shattered. And there you go, conscripts attacking in. Molotovs off, rifle grenades flying the other direction, shattering the conscripts in their brittle bones. So with this I've managed to cut him off from his fuel. He's also got a demo charge there, by the way. Nice spot there. First ever, you've got the Sturmgeschütz moving up. In fact, both moving up to try and support here. Pioneers moving up with their Flammenwerfers. Almost got the engineers there, almost.
Forces are securing our territory.
Can you make it? Yes! No! No, he didn't. Same time, Pioneers coming up behind them with a flamethrower. Not quite caring about the interior as they pull it up to the windows and the drapes. Begin firing right at the conscripts. Sturmgeschütz moving into support here. At the same time doing it in such a manner I can quickly get it away in case he rushes it or something unexpected happens. Leaving the Stuke here by the way to cover the retreat path. But there you go, conscripts moving up there, trying to flank up. There you go with the Pioneers in the building. It's a bit harder to do at the same time though. Pulling back the Sturmgeschütz, which does push them about a bit, and the other Stuke there can open up return. Some heavy action here around the cut-off point here. Not much here. Stormtroopers just moving ahead to secure territory. Field gun not having a easy time there. Constant hit there. to get close to their PTRS. Instead, they end up getting shot by one of their own PTRSs from the windows by Pioneer. Are you moving up there again within range? Nope. Pulling back here though. Low on health. And with the conscripts advancing. Damaged engine as the anti-tank grenade penetrates the frontal armor. Sturmgeschütz is forced to fall back. When plenty of infantry ready to counteract from the north. And there we go. A shattering bombardment on the conscripts, leaving them devastated and mostly dead. Never underestimate a Sturmgeschütz. T-Fed almost done here for Hector. He's beginning to suffer a bit more though. It's not looking too healthy for him. Feargo moving up here, straight to the line of fire of the Stormtroopers, who are currently in the process of getting the Sturmgewehrs as well. And no tech up yet. So far, though, I mean, he is playing for the conscripts, all the PTRSs, so at this point, with 2 Stooks, a pack, and some other bits, then feeling confident enough to actually go for a Sturmpanzer, anyways. That's at least the plan for the time being. Unless he's managed to pull off a huge surprise, like, say, an H-85. T-Fed immediately crashing a lot of the Stormtroopers, even some of the Grenadiers. PTS father hitting the rear, Panzerfaust going off as well. No? Oh, there we go. Bit of damage to the T-Fed, but already here forcing Hector to pull back his tank. Meanwhile, we got a fresh attack on the left side. Stormtroopers counter-attack, almost got the assault rifles ready. Sturmgeschütz getting off a good hit there. There you go. Sturmgewehr. Counters there with the PTS is not quite a match here. This is elite Stormtroopers. More losses inflicted by the Sturmgeschütz. Losing a lot of territory here. By the way, I was sort of worried about a demo charge. So basically charges up my Grenadiers at the edge. I mean, if you're worried about a demo charge at the point, try to find a point where you'd normally not usually go for. That way you can usually avoid unless your opponent is somehow a mind reader or really, really good at mind games. In which case you're kind of screwed anyways. But we got here tier 4 on the way. Meanwhile, Hector is struggling here a bit. Keeping a Teutonic grip on the battlefield. Though, of course, at the same time, I am spreading out my forces thinly. The right hand side, though, is the point I'm sort of already sort of concerned with holding. And the other point has sort of got a few hard points built sort of around the MD-42s. But otherwise, it's all about sort of reacting elastically to any attack he's made, which is largely how the Germans operated on the Eastern Front. Sort of small, strong points, outposts, with a tactical reserve to counterattack and sort of deal with things there, ensuring they had sort of more reserve rather than tying down a lot of troops in different places. Which is generally what I try to sort of copy as the Wehrmacht. Pentelmar machine gun up for the Sturmgeschütz. Heavy Panzer Corps being set up as well here.
Enemy forces are securing our territory.
There we go. Sturmbannführer Wilhelms rolling forward to the Sturmgeschütz. They're coming under fire from the PTRSs. Being forced away, and there you go. Heavy Panzer Corps ready, a bit of time before we get our Sturmpanzer. I'm sure I could get a Panther, but again, the overall the armor threat at the moment isn't so great. It's more conscripts and field guns, in which case a Sturmpanzer would be a better choice there if you can sort of hit it correctly. Grenades, Molotovs, Sturmgeschütz. People dying all over the place on the right hand side. Well, we are seeing a nice counterattack here from Hector, pushing me off the field, but again, not that I've really left a lot there to defend with. Field gun moving up here and showing I can't so easily operate one of the Sturmgeschütz there. Though, of course, if we can sort of rush it with both of them, I have a chance of wiping up pretty quickly, though it is a bit more of a trickery situation. Quick rifle grenade here, doing the conscious in a pretty bad situation. And the conscious there running straight to the line of fire of the Sturmgeschütz, Stug 3. Rather bold, there he continues. Here coming up support though. And we got Canadian Pioneers ready to support as well. And of course the flying there for veteran to 3 already. 20 kills. And there you go, field gun running up in the Sturmgeschütz. Stug doing what he can here to hold back the conscripts. Machine gun and 5 explosive shells. Stormtroopers moving back in. Troops need reinforcement. Right now, I mean, In fact, it's time here for the mid-game analysis. The current situation of Hector is, I mean, he's gaining back territory, but he's rather suffered heavily. In that regard, he needs to sort of consider what he's got currently, he needs to use it more. I mean, for example, he could try and use the mortar a bit more to sort of, you know, get down some smoke screens and attack forwards for that. He's a bit too reliant on sort of just trying to sort of swarm me from several angles. And problem is, if he could sort of keep things a bit more under control, and again, you know, say moving a half-track in particular as you could early on, you could sort of throw that off a bit. But of course, with the Sturmgeschütz and overall a larger force now, it's beginning to run into some serious problems. You need to sort of change and adapt here. And overall mortars will try and gain again sort of kind of advantage by sort of disabling equipment with a smoke screen would be good. Of course, yes, bombarding my positions as well. Another option could try and sort of be draining me out with a sniper. A bit risky though. I mean, if I sort of catch off guard with the pair of Stooks or maybe a Stormtrooper sneaking up behind it, just waiting with the Stormtroopers in ambush in a really good spot, I mean, he could really quickly lose it. Throwing in some Strafnigi, Satchel Charge and the likes could maybe also be an option. Otherwise, more T-34s would be good, or maybe a half-check for sort of reinforcement at the front line, so he doesn't have to retreat as much. I mean, that would do him quite a bit of good as well. So, I mean, there are a few options there for Hector, but he's got plenty of manpower, so a cache might also be an idea, in particular fuel cache, because he's struggling a bit now more in the later games, so that would also be a strong suit for him. As for me, of course, I'm obviously aiming here for the Sturmpanzer. I need to be a bit more careful, though, of course, with his Stooks as well. Right now, of course, one of the big threats for me is basically I get a bit too overconfident and sort of get all berserker-like and sort of try to sort of just win it all one go, and again that's always something you have to worry about, but at the same time I'm not that confident, but still a few too good lucky hits and I might think I've got this 1-1 already. Otherwise more mines would be good for me, and maybe a cache myself, for example, set one up here so I don't have to keep the MD-40 all the time, and maybe move over to support the left side, that would act, or right side, that would actually do me a pretty good job there as well to consider. And after the Sturmpanzer, I mean, maybe a Panzerwehr to sort of help deal with maybe some of the support weapons could also do pretty good there. Otherwise, another Stug never hurts, I would argue. Bunkers, I think, could also be a good job there. I mean, overall things that could sort of maybe tie up units would overall be currently a good choice for me to consider. In particular, with all the territory I'm holding, bunkers in that regard would be a good choice if I keep that in mind. As for using more of the doctrine, I mean, supply lines break could use sort of a harassment. Breakthrough, not so much. Of course, there's always the chance of a closer pocket, but at the moment I don't think he's really committed long enough to sort of really make it worthwhile. Plus, at the same time, it is a bit more munitions intensive at the moment. There are better things to use munitions on. As for Hector, I mean, he could consider actually getting some engineer salvage kit to sort of try and salvage some equipment here and there. But of course, it's already maybe a bit too late for him for that. Anyways, back to the fight here. Comes through running straight in the Sturmgeschütz. Of course, we've got the Stormtrooper ready to support. Quickly breaking out. Another excellent hit with that anti-strike. That man should have been a sniper. Not a Panzer Grenadier. Yes. Field gun setting up here. Stug ready and repaired. MD-42 almost veteran 3. He's got a few veteran 3 countries here with their PTRSs. Semi-automatic rifle of choice for the service, of course, was the PTOD, which was a bolt action anti-tank rifle, and thus was stronger due to, well, the way when it comes to semi-automatic rifle, it draws away a bit of the propulsive gas to sort of load in the next round, which does make a semi-automatic rifle has less punch than a bolt action rifle. Little fun fact there, not as some person thought. Apparently, I was talking about, you know, them using a different round. It's not. It's just about propellant gases. And it's got the Sturmpanzer there on the way. Comes the assault going in. Stormtrooper basically hanging back. Quick rock grenade here. Apparently he was a bit too slow to react. Could also try and pull off a counterattack here through the west. I mean, he's doing nothing to really guard the central road, which does leave his western flank. And there you go. T-34 rushes forward. Stormtrooper getting a good hit. Field gun actually pulling back here. Looks like he's a bit worried. T-34 rushes in. Needs to be careful here. Pantrick going off. There we go. Panzerfaust as well. I'm not moving ahead the Sturmgeschütz, of course. I'm still worried he's got the field gun here, but clearly he doesn't.
Enemy is taking our territory.
Veterans one for the Sturmgeschütz. Comes them moving ahead with their PTRSs. Sturmgeschütz taking heavy damage all of a sudden there, of course. I mean, that's a bit the problem with the Sturmgeschütz. Again, it just doesn't have enough frontal armour. Sturmpanzer opens up. Unit white there. On the paving, perhaps not. Either way, though, they do manage to get the Sturmgeschütz knocked out there. Sturmpanzer, though, is quick to avenge and kill some more. We got, there we go, Grenadiers. Stormtroopers flanking in. Sturmgeschütz could also move in and try and get off a shot there. think the Sturmpanzer actually didn't kill one of their own. Panthers going off the T-34, trying to get the T-34-76 there. Field gun actually moved all the way up there again, but now it's too late for the party, in fact. With the risk of being caught behind enemy lines, Sturmpanzer moves ahead here. Trying to knock it out. Can't quite get a hit there, despite how slowly that T-34 moves. Instead decided to deal here with the mortar crew. Sturmgeschütz could of course moved in support there, but I was a bit too slow in that regard. Field gun there opening up the site with Sturmpanzer. Troops reinforcing. Still the loss of Sturmgeschütz is going to hurt. Good sudden head down a bit, could have damaged there to the Russians. Sturmpanzer being forced back, they're constantly moving ahead here. Quick geballte Ladung. Straight into their path. The interesting thing, geballte Ladung could also refer to, in fact have referred to a particular demolition charge the Pioneers were basically bundled together. That was also referred to as a geballte Ladung, apparently. Fun fact there, but another Sturmgeschütz on the way.
Squad, ready to move. Yeah, awaiting orders.
Quickly moving hit the conches there through the ruins.
That's the last one.
Victory points though not looking too good for me. Down to 139 there versus 356. Getting that Sturmpanzer repaired.
The point is ours.
England is there suffering some losses. Large force they're flanking up. Now they're attempting to bundle grenade. Not doing too much, 7 seconds, it is almost wiped out already. And Hector seems to be pushing in aggressively. Sturmgeschütz falling a bit back, they don't want to get flanked. Another smaller movement. There we go, another T-34 on the way for Hector, that's good for him. Palm would also say to consider another field gun here. Sturmgeschütz opening up, there we go, Constance moving in. Catching, oh yeah, the Sturmpanzer right at the rear. MT-42 can't quite get a hit there. And there you go, damaged engine on the Sturmpanzer. And we get a destroyed engine even. But there you go, Sturmgeschütz gets off an absolutely vicious hit there. Crushing the conscripts. And there you go, the entire unit is wiped out. The veteran for the MT-42 now forcing away another unit. Hector's struggles continue. At the same time, counterattack here with Stormtroopers and Grenadiers. Sturmgeschütz moving up support. T-34 running up, there we go, the other one ready to support. And there we go, going for the victory point here, realising maybe more pressure here is not going to work out instead. Sort of hoping I've relaxed enough on the western flank. He's also, in fact, trying to sneak through here. Good move, by the way, good move. The way he's sort of trying to take the furthest path here, I'm assuming, is going to sort of make it very hard for me to sort of realise and then can sort of actually hit me here in the rear. Which if he does that would be a pretty strong move, though of course one wonders why he hasn't done that before. And before he quickly putting a stop to the engineers, because they're taking losses, Sturmpanzer moving to support. At the same time the assault continues up the right flank, more infantry being pushed in, this group continues to support it. At the same time, large assault going in there, Pioneers with the can, Sturmpanzer moving in. There we go. Devastating it, and there we go. Sturmgeschütz getting knocked out with the T-30, but of course also a quick shot there from the T-30 or PTRSs. Pack 40 not quite ready to support here. Conscripts just getting flambéed. 29 kills. Don't underestimate the power of having some Pioneers with a Flammenwerfer. There we go. Conscripts survive quite well there. Hit from a Sturmpanzer. At the same time, oh dear. Right next to that demo charge. And getting another Sturmgeschütz. I could, of course, at this point consider going for a Panther, but I do have a personal preference towards the Sturmgeschütz. It does sort of more fit into my playstyle, I feel, but of course, sometimes the Panther is just the better option. And of course, at this point, a Panther probably could help me finish this fight much sooner. So there's definitely an argument to be made there. To be had. Goes in a bit of trouble with the T-34. This time, though, he does seem to be a bit better at distance, ensuring he does not get Panzer-fausted. Which would then leave it an open target here for the Stormtroopers, and maybe a Sturmgeschütz rolling in. MD42 there, which was pushed away, being moved up here to sort of cover the victory point there. Hector, though, building up his forces again. He's now sort of gotten back in the fight. He's gotten more tanks out there. I was not able to sort of finish him off before that will break his morale. So he's back once more in full force. Francis rushing ahead here, and there you go. We even got some tactical advantage against the conscripts. Gabaltalad being joined in as well. Mortron going to hit the Grenadiers and the Stormtroopers. But there you go. Crashed there. And you go now, 30-54 joining in. That's his guy, quite the armor advantage now. And a bombing strike here. I think he was trying to sort of catch my Sturmpanzer. Of course, the more interesting thing, he's just managed to wipe out my mine there. Sturmpanzer coming in here, trying to catch the field gun, which I just briefly realised was there. And of course, over here we got the counter-attack going in. My Sturmpanzer's a bit of trouble there. Going to try and, well, extricate it. Pack 40 setting up here. Sturmgeschütz up there. We go. T-54 caught here by Pack 40. Sturmgeschütz and the Sturmpanzer. The T-54 moving in here. Almost got it. 2 goals are falling back here though. Need to keep some distance there between itself and the T-34. Pack 40 getting that hit there. Veterans 1 gained. German infantry barely holding on the right flank. We got the mortar here, creeping about, as only a mortar can. Ish. Almost Veteran 1 the Sturmpanzer. And more constant on the way there for Hector. And right here, I'm not sure what happens, but basically the rifle grenade bugs up. I had hoped to sort of, you know, get over hit there for some reason. It just doesn't shoot. There we go, though. And then straight into the demo charge. And at the same time, I decided, you know, it's time to use that brake supply line. Supply line, just make things a bit miserable for him. Cutting him off right there. Cheeky move? Yes. There we go, Sturmgeschütz supporting the Panzer Grenadier here. Stormtroopers and the Grenadiers getting a Panzer Grenadier squad though. And again another use here of tactical advance. And wiped on retreat. Sturmbannführer Heinz feeling that was a very good shot. Yeah.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
Sturmpanzer the rage for the fight again. We got the Panzer Grenadiers almost there. Almost full pop cap. There we go. Consuming hit. And there we go. Half the CoH squad there wiped by the Sturmpanzer. Moving ahead there versus the Pack 40. Tanks moving up there. Could it be he's planning a large assault here? Now the devastating hit there from Sturmpanzer's 115mm gun. And there we go. Almost wiping the conscripts there. There we go. Wiped. Another loss. In fact, he's down to 1 conscript at the same time. We got the T-34 starting in here. Other T-34 moving up here. Sturmgeschütz moving up. Pack 4 supporting here. We got target weak point. Or he's attempted target weak point. T-34 moving in there. Hitting the mine. And there we go. PTRS fire from the Pioneers. Set it off. And there goes Sturmpanzer, gets the other T-34. Field gun moving up straight to the MD-42 here. 23 kills. The third T-34 was nowhere near to be seen here. Bit unfortunate there for him. Had he moved that in, he might have had a better chance. Though obviously wasn't counting there on the mine. Either way though, that rather saw him shattered here and his forces broken. But seems like here Hector still got some fight in him. Meanwhile pushing forward so with Stormtroopers, Panzer going to get the T-34 moving up here. Quick sprint. And there you go. Veterans to 1, target weak point off. There you go, starting at the same time, we got the Stormtroopers moving up there. With the Panzer and the PTOs almost ready for him, even sprinting forward, want to ensure I can get it before the stun wears off. Almost got it there, almost. Shot bounced off there though. And the Stormtroopers need to get away, but they're already getting cut down here. Could see a white, could see a white. Shoot the covers. And saves, in a sense. Comes there versus Stuke and the Stormtroopers, almost ready to 2. And there we go, 1 conscript. 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 1 Not really a lot of action here. Could consider either shattering the field gun or just using it for my own purposes. But Hector, at this point, not really got a lot left. Not really got a lot left. Getting another field gun, of course, to replace the one lost. Sadly, he hasn't really been able to get that mortar used for too much. He hasn't even, I think, used the precision strike. At the same time, constantly a bit of trouble with the punch and the Sturmgeschütz. Got those winging hits trying to catch that mortar, maybe wipe it out. There we go, using tactical advance. Gaining victory too, but not quite getting it. And a third Sturmgeschütz on the way. Can't get a Panther though. Last opted for a Sturmgeschütz, of course. I could have gone for a Panzerwerfer, that would help maybe versus support weapons and the likes.
Assault gun standing by. What do you need?
Once more, a bit quiet here. Hector though fighting on.
We are losing supplies to
He's still confident he can just sort of hold me off for a bit there. He can probably get me through the victory points, which are still in his advantage.
We've captured it. Stug 3 ready to deploy.
Another push forward, there we go. Third Sturmgeschütz arrives. Storm's almost wiped out. And in fact, they do get wiped out. Sturmgeschütz halting hits there from the field gun. Almost ready to shoot, but also almost knocked out. Need to get some pioneers with it to repair it. The conscripts find a blood-soaked PTRS and resecure it. Sturmgeschütz rushing forward here. I had not quite fought that one through there. Field gets off an excellent hit there. And an anti-tank grenade as well for good Messia. Sturmgeschütz, Sturmpanzer moving up here, pretty much trying to sort of get ready to he's going to push up for his my thought is to flank in here, sort of catch his force from the side. Maybe get the field gun that way, but there you go. Veteran 2 for the Stug, and using breakthrough here, by the way, to increase the speed of my vehicles. Has to move through here, trying to cause a bit of chaos. Also at the same time, allowing me to quickly cut off his point. The Sturmgeschütz, I don't know what, the Sturmpanzer, I don't know what it does. It was meant to fight the field gun, but instead decides to drive a bit further forwards there. Other Stug moves forwards here. Of course, at this point, I've rather forgotten it's heavily damaged. In fact, I'm making a bit of a grim mistake here with it. Very grim. Sturmpanzer though, 19 kills here. Trying to get that field gun. In fact, I'm getting a bit overconfident here. I think I can just get it. One more hit. Again, he just keeps reinforcing it. I could try and bombard it though. By the way, it's not working. Other Stug moves in here. Target weak point. But there you go. Stug knocked out. That was definitely my mistake. Again, I got way too overconfident. 20 kills are here on the Sturmpanzer. Other Stug about to get knocked out here. Veterans one game though, and there we go. Wrecked. I might just want to use a bunker busting barrage from a safe distance without rushing in by the Sturmgeschütz. That was definitely a very poor move from me there. Replacement Sturmgeschütz on the way though. Decided I'm going to keep at least 2 Stugs at all times. Of course, now I could actually get a Panther if I wanted. And he's getting another T-34 there. West side largely safe, getting more telemines though. Just in case he tries to rush again. And getting some replacement stormtroopers on top of everything. There you go, almost 30 kills on the Sturmpanzer and almost victory too. And almost 30 kills on those pioneers, 30 kills.
The enemy is attempting to steal our sector.
T-34 rushing in there. Quick rough Nate there.
The territory is out of contact.
At this point I do decide to use a bunker busting barrage there. There's the field gun. Meanwhile though, T-34 pushes away my troops on the left side. Pioneer sent packing.
Vehicles can be ordered to break through enemy lines, Commander.
Almost got the field gun there. Almost. Most of the shots there were misses. Didn't get Veteran 2 on it. But with another tank, Hector might have a slight chance of doing something. In particular after me rather poorly wasting those 2 assault guns. Very much a shame there.
Pioneers ready for anything.
The Sturmpanzer himself basically sort of meant for blowing up bunkers, fortified positions and the likes. In fact, based on the design, based on the Stug 3G that was used in Stalingrad. Using with the Mark also at the same time, from 4-2 shifting onto incendiary rounds even for extra goodness. There you go, flanking in with the T-34 Stug there. I failed to repair. Got the Stormtrooper still there with a Panther. Got a Panther house going off as well.
Enemy has destroyed a Panzer.
Big damage here with his tank. TP Kelp Stormtrooper getting wiped out though. CoH2 moving in as well, but not really getting any shots off. And there we go, shot bounced even. And the Storm Panzer's shot bounced as well. Getting assault rifles again, and there we go, finally getting a Panther, realising, you know, might be time to switch up things a bit. To ensure I don't get surprised myself nastily. And there we go, mortar crew stopped by the MG42, switching onto incendiaries, but then realising I might want to move forwards before doing that, so the mortar crew can't just set up beyond its range. And looks like here we got Hector sort of pushing in, he's desperate, he's sort of trying to slow down the victory point drain on his side now, moving up the Pioneers there with flamethrowers. Comes out in a bit of trouble. In fact, he gets out there pretty rapidly. And the Vetch into 3 MG43 there, getting 29 kills. There's an assault going up this range to the Sturmgeschütz and the Sturm Panzer. Stu there, getting off some good hits. And the Constance here getting absolutely massacred by the Pioneers. 31 kills. And there we go, Panzer Kampfwagen finally arrives to the scene. Sure, those Sturm Panzers and Sturmgeschütz how to really knock out a tank. There you go, final push here on the left side it seems. T-34 being rushed in. Too bad, I've still got a Pack 40 here. Going for target weak point just in case. I hadn't seen until after I'd ordered it in that he'd actually not even repaired it. But there you go, Hector finally surrenders. His spirit broken, but not as much as his forces though. And game over there, rather bloody fight. Interesting fight in some regards. I mean, overall I just think it does show, you know, PTRS is not that great, not at least if you've got some good use of tactics here. I mean, it rather in the early game came down to sort of using the MG42 as well, but also combine it with a half-track and some Pioneers. You actually got a sort of pretty good way of sort of catching the community and then sort of trying to wipe them out. I mean, it was that ability of the half-track that sort of allowed me to sort of pass through there where he was just throwing away infantry at me, pressing me deeply, but with the half-track I could gain sort of local superiority here and there, sort of slowly but surely breaking his forces like fingers on a hand, ensuring he, after a certain point, really couldn't strike at me, which rather than gave me this sort of time to sort of take up and go for more. Also, some aggressive harassment certainly has allowed me to sort of draw away attention from the west into the east. Stooks overall did well, though I rather got too reckless at times, which rather got them, well, wrecked, which was a bit of a shame. The Sturm Panzer, I think, did pretty well. They could have used some more bunker busting barrages as soon as it was available, and might have been a bit more cautious at the time, and maybe a Pintelmite machine gun would have helped me as well. And of course, there's easily the argument that could have been made. I could have gone for a Panther sooner, or maybe a Panzerwerfer. Stormtroopers certainly also did well, in particular the ones here with the Patrick and the PTRS. Certainly also proved up to you out of there versus the first tank rush. And of course, it would have been nice if it had been used to close the pocket, but really when I had the munitions, there wasn't really any reason to use it. And when I didn't have it, there was, so not much to do there. Hector, I mean, played overall pretty alright, but of course as the game progressed, his strategy and tactics sort of began to betray some flaws. I mean, it rather lacked some elements. I mean, again, he should have tried to use mortars with smoke screens, or a sniper, or just gotten something else sort of trying to throw me off. Just add another element, and I think he would have done better. At least sort of tried to defend his territory better with maybe a Maxim. That would have made it much harder for me to harass him in return. So, I mean, those could have been some options. Another option would, of course, going for a mechanized armor company and sneaking out an HUD-5. That would definitely cause me some problems, but there you go. Hopefully you enjoyed this match though, hopefully you learned something from it, hopefully it gave you some useful matches. If it did, why not subscribe, tell your friends, share it with everyone. And if not, you know, send a replay of your own, or provide some feedback in the comment section. This is ImperialDane saying cheers, and thank you all for watching. Bye!